And when I look at Shensia video, and I pull this book from my library, and I see when Shensia stood over the brother, means she prostrated his arm in the 5-pointed star, the pentagram, and she stood over him as a priestess. I know she was playing the role of Ishtar, where she sacrificed the brother, she dominated him, she served him to Satan, and then what happened? The heart that he took, she gave it to the serpent. And the serpent was in the bowl with the heart. Family, we live in a world that mostly consists of the physical. But because we're not educated or initiated in the other dimension, in many ways, we condemned or we discarded the spiritual. And because we don't understand the spiritual via a scientific analysis, we debunk that spiritual world. We become atheists to the spiritual side, and because of such, we lack in knowledge. Because the more I know is the less I know, and the more I know is the more I want to know. Therefore, how can I come to a conclusion with the finite of what I know when I do not understand the spiritual concept of what I should know? Meaning that knowledge is infinite and God is eternal.
Oh my God! Wow!
And God cannot be rationalized via the scientific analysis, but however it can. Case in point, we live in a world that is humanly constructed. We see the cars, we see the buses, we see the clothes, we see all of those things that man constructs. With many of us, we will say that man creates it. Nonetheless, my argument is, wasn't all of this material things here before man came on the scene? Let's reason from another logical point of view. If man says he creates everything, and we know that all the material elements that he put together was here prior to him coming on the scene, and if you move man out of the order and leave nature in its natural state, the question you must ask, isn't there a perfect equilibrium? Isn't there order in the whole system?
Nice.
This sun that shines upon my face and gives me vitamin D, this sun that penetrates every living thing on the planet, it has no smut when it burns. It gives no radiation that kills us. But in reality is that everything that survives needs the sun. Therefore, can anything on the planet, including man, survive without the sun? And it burns millions of years. Is that just a coincidence? The sun is a planet that many pagan religions back in the days worshipped. If you look at the emblem of Good Morning America, if you look at the emblem of sun-kissed, the sun is what many pagan religions worship.
Christian fight some things with them not see. Stronghold demons and principality. Remember they are the temple. Keep it holy, sanctify, justify, give God the glory.
Now, a few of my subscribers says to me, Jamken, I see you venture out to Africa, and I also see you talking about passive income and giving us ideas on how to make money. And my subscribers, you're absolutely correct. But there are moments in time when you're tapped spiritually to reveal some information or to enlighten a few. And having said that, when I made the videos in Shensia, it wasn't the fact that I got up and said, I'm going to pick on Shensia. I believe without a doubt, it was a spiritual, I would say, enlightenment that prompted me and said, tell you what, make a video for her. And it's not the fact that I don't want to say, let's make passive income, because I am big on that. But the good book says, to whom much is given, much is required. And as I venture out in the promised land and navigate new terrain of how I can achieve more, I must not forget those who I'm leaving behind. Because whether you like it or not, If God has blessed me with certain level of knowledge, and God has blessed many of you, and you have moved up intellectually and economically, isn't it just, I would say, a moral right, or a human right, or a God right, or a good right to give back those who have less than us? And because of such, even although I talk about properties and I talk about money, there's another dimension that it is so obvious, which whether they like it or not. If you look at Shensea's video and many other videos nowadays, there are videos of the occult. And because many of us are not educated or initiated or have no idea of how this functions, and because God has blessed me with a certain level of understanding of that other side, I think it is only fair to would say, shed a little light in the midst of the darkness. So this is why I venture out into the occult world to kind of show the people, say, hey, whatever you see as entertainment, their occultist ritual played right in front of us, which is dead culture.
The physical man can't fight no demon. Fasting and prayer fi build up the inner one. Well anointed convert the sinner man. Bind the demon, rip up Satan. How you pollute the land with pure corruption. A warfare time, this a revelation. Thank Father God for give me salvation. Fill me with the Holy Ghost, it is an inspiration. Say, and I need love.
Family, let me keep it 100. I grew up in a world, in an environment where I see the chicken get slaughtered. I see persons take the bath with the blood on all the other, I would say, oils to chase the evil spirits away. I see the guard rings being filled for protection. I see people, the rich and powerful, would come at nighttime to get their, I would say, revelation of what's going to happen, or a soothsayer to tell them what the future holds. I see it all, I live it all. And people, I was one of those that my mother would say that I have the gifting. I have the discernment to see things beyond the perceptual. She said, boy, you can see things and I know things. And in some ways, people, she wanted me to become a part of that world. A world where you can go in the chants and the music. You can see things and tell people what's going to happen. And literally, you can go to the Pocomania dancing to get the spiritual vibration to see beyond the perceptual. And let me be honest, people. In my 20s, I've invested heavily in Jamaica. And I ship containers with goods and so forth because I really wanted to be able to give back, but also to gain some level of power. And to be frank with you people, that every time I tried to venture out and go back, there was always a block. There's always a spiritual block. And my mom would always say, boy, when you're going to start, when you're going to do, when you're going to come back, I should learn all of her prescriptions. I would learn all of them. And whether they like it or not, some were good, but some of them were on the dark side. And whether they like it or not, people, I was supposed to be a part of the world. Now, when I watch Sensia video and other videos, you know, you have Chris Brown who make a video, you have other artists who make certain videos. And because I was aware of that world, and because I understand the dynamics and the intricacies and how it functions, when I saw those videos, I know without a doubt those videos are dabbling in the occult. And I think it's a spiritual responsibility to kind of enlighten those who are not privy to that information, so you can get some clarity, so you can know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the consequences of partaking in such demonic world. Let me say this to your family. Most of us are educated in languages, literally how to write. But I've learned over the years, this world is not operated via languages for the common man. This world functions by numbers, symbols, and signs. If you're not educated in numerology or symbolism, you don't have a clue what's going on. So when you watch a television, you hear the news they say and what they read out to you. I listen for the numbers and I look for symbols. Because oftentimes when you hear some level of catastrophe happen around the world, the media always give you the information in odd numbers. Say, okay, well, 65 people got killed. That's 11. Or 54 people got killed. That's a 9. Or maybe 76 person got killed. That's a 13. This world is Lucifer's world. But like I said before, if you're not initiated, you don't know what's happening around you. The Shensia video piqued my interest. It piqued my interest very well when I watched it. And let me say this to you people. When you're caught up in the busy everyday life, it's very hard to see what's happening around you because the system programs us to do a job, a 9 to 5, and we run to work, we come back home, we watch a TV, and we sleep. We're like on the treadmill of life. When our kids are watching music videos, because that's what babysit them nowadays, and we're busy trying to pay the bills, then our children and some of us are being initiated in the dark world. So because Shensia video piqued my interest, I ventured in my library. Knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. And because knowledge of wicked is not wisdom, it makes no sense to dig up the evil side or the dark side or the occult side to get information from it. I have parked it. But something says to me, go and dig to find out what's going on so I can make a video like this to make some of you be aware of what's going on. Let me say this to you again, folks. I am going to show you some books that I believe that you should have in your library, not to dabble in, but to know. Because knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. I am not giving you these books for you to go start to study research and become a part of that world. Because eventually that world will consume you. That world might give you riches, but it's going to come at a fatal price. Not just fatal in the physical, but also in the spiritual. So this is why I stay away from it. But because the occult world is so much in our eyes, I believe it's my responsibility to give you guys a bird's eye view so you can see what's going on, so you can make informed decisions. So as I ventured in my library, the first book I want to show you is the book of the God of the Bible and Pagan Gods. This book is for you to understand the holidays we celebrate and to know that many of the holidays, such as Christmas, December 25th, is not Jesus' birthday. It's the sun god birthday, it's Isis' birthday, it's Nimrod birthday, it's Timmuz birthday. So when you read this book, you'll understand that most of what we're celebrating today is not Christ or Yeshua HaMashiach days. These are Roman pagan days and these are Greek pagan days. But they're morphed into holidays. Easter, Ishtar. These are holidays that are pagan days. That's why when you look at the White House literally celebrate, I would say, Easter with the bunnies. You see the White House celebrate Pride Day, which was actually Ishtar's month to celebrate her birthday back in the days of Mesopotamia. So these are some of the holidays we're celebrating today, which are pagan days. The other book I want to draw to your attention is the Masonic and Occult symbolic book. As I've mentioned to you in one of my videos about the Washington Monument, which is 666 feet tall, 555 above ground and 111 below ground. And Baal Temple, one is in Washington and one is also in New York. But if you look at most of your buildings that's built around it, they're phallic symbols. So this book gives you some clarity of the old world so you can understand the new world. This book is a good book for you to understand the signs and the symbols that are around you so you can get a clearer view of how your world operates in, I would say, the hidden, but also it's out there in the physical. The other book I want to draw to your attention is The New World Order. And people, I'm not sure if you can get these books on Amazon. I had them many years ago. I don't know if they still sell them, but I'm showing you them. The other one is about the New World Order. And this book is about global dictatorship. This is where money will be obsolete. This is where that everything that you transact will be used, maybe your retinal scan or your fingerprint. So although we're chasing money, and this is a reason why that even though we're trying to make a better life with money, I'm trying to show you all that this is a global dictatorship that's coming down on us. And how do they get there? If you really know George Hegel, is a British philosopher, the Hegelian dialectic. He says that government must create the crisis, meaning that create the problem, wait for the masses to react, scream out, oh, I need help. Then you implement the solution. Problem, reaction, solution. So when you look at society to get to their desired goal, they create chaos first. The masses scream out, or the standards and structures in society that keeps the society going, they slowly move it apart. And you can see that today, where all the standards and structures and values that you grew up on are completely been eroded. It's a Hegelian dialectic happening in full view. So this is what's taking place. You have to understand. So this book, The New World Order, will give you a bird's eye view into how the world is shifting and where it's going. And whether you like it or not, there's a global world that's coming up on us, where eventually one man, the Antichrist, or what in Islam they call it the Dajjal, will say, tell you what, because they have so much chaos on the planet, when modern Rome falls, you'll have chaos on the planet because the world police will be out. If you're a student of history and you understand the German Chancellor Bismarck in 1895, in the winter of 1895, when the European powers were fighting against each other because they want the spoils of Africa, and he called the meeting and said, why are you guys fighting? Isn't it better to carve up Africa and you take this one take this one? Now, when modern Rome falls, the greatest power that is known now falls, because it will fall. And it is being, I would say, chipped away from within. It is falling morally. Yeshua HaMashiach came, the Messiah for the Jewish people. But he came poor on a donkey. And I said, no, you're not the Messiah. They want a rich Messiah. And they rejected him. So they're waiting for a new Messiah, but this new Messiah must have the blood of Christ in him, so he must be coming from the house of David. So when you really understand the history and the secret world, you must understand why the European elites and certain elites on the planet, they marry into bloodlines. They marry into bloodlines to keep the blood pure. And at the end of the day, if that blood is not Jewish blood, the Jewish people will not accept him. So the Antichrist has to be and must be Jewish, whether they like it or not, because they're waiting for their Messiah. So this book will give you some better understanding of what to look for. This other book, family, is about symbols. Symbols and their meanings. Like I said before, all around you, there are symbols. There's symbols projected in your media. There's symbols on big companies. And there's symbols around you in stones. But like I said again, If you don't know, I have no understanding. The symbols are right in your face and you can't see them. As they say, the best way to hide the truth is to put it right in front of your eyes, and they will not see it. I think if you want to know a lot about the music videos, you read this book. This book is about sex and the occult. And when I look at Shensia video, and I pull this book from my library, and I see when Shensia stood over the brother, means she prostrated its arm in the 5-pointed star, the pentagram, and she stood over him as a priestess. I know she was playing the role of Ishtar, where she sacrificed the brother, she dominated him, she served him to Satan, and then what happened? The heart that he took, she gave it to the serpent. And the serpent was in the bowl with the heart, meaning that she took her heart from the brother, just like in the Garden of Eden, and she gave her heart to Lucifer. People, these are not fun and entertainment, people. This is dead culture right in front of your eyes. And when you read this book, Sex and the Occult, you will understand the pagan religion of, I would say, Hinduism, where sex is a main part of the religion. And if you look in Canada now, Hinduism is the fastest growing in religion. They built a massive monkey god now in Brampton. So you can see the pagan cultures coming and dominating these spaces. And the God culture, the one God, the Elohim, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, the God, the Father, has been completely moved away from the social space. The last book now that I will introduce to you guys is a book of numbers. If you ever study Pythagorean theorems, math, numbers is a perfect science. Numbers is a very powerful part, if not the most powerful part of the occult. Because numbers is what they use to get information and to get information. You ever wonder that in North America or maybe around the Western world, you've never seen a 13th floor? Go in the elevators, you'll never see number 13. 13 is Satan number. 13 is rebellion. Number 13, they say it's lucky number, but it's rebellion, it's Satan's number. Now let me break down some numbers for you.
Under the blood, me say me under the blood. Jesus, you be cover me under the blood. In the morning when me wake up, and the blood that Jesus me take up. And when me feel like me, I go break up. Put the blood on me face just like a makeup.
Number 1 in the book Numbers is deity. It's God. Or you could say, back in the pagan days, the worshippers the sun. So, number 1 is deity, God. Number 2 is dualism, the antithesis. Number 2 is also the moon. Remember, numbers also equal planets. So the number 1 is the sun, and number 2 represents the moon. Dualism, antithesis, male, female, right, wrong, and you get the idea. Number 3 is a trilogy, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It also means Isis, Osiris, Horus in the pagan world. Number 3 is the Trinity. Number 4, you would say, is reality and foundation. Number 4 is the foundation. Number 4 also means wisdom. Wisdom. Number 3 means the Jupiter planet. Number 4 is foundation. Number 5 means man. You know? 2 legs, 2 arms, and my head. So number 5 is man. Good. It also means war, because number 5 represents the planet Mars, which is a war planet. Number 6 means cooperation, unity. You know, like the god Venus. Good. It also represents Venus. 7 means time, 7 days of the week, and the 7 seals in Revelation. Number 7 also means the full moon. 8 is a God number. It means completion. 8 means completion because 8 has no end. It's completion. It is also represented planet Saturn. Number 9 means fighting, battle, wars. Number 10 is law, the 10 commandments. Number 11 means judgment and destruction. 12 represents the 12 months of the year. Number 13 is rebellion, a Satan number.
Jesus, you may cover me under the blood in the morning when me wake up. And the blood that Jesus me take up. And when me feel like me, I go break up. Put the blood on me face just like a makeup.
The reason why I gave you those numbers is not for you to dabble in it. It's for you to understand the time, people. Major catastrophes around the world, if you pay close attention, like 9/11, 9 war, 11 judgment and destruction. And I am going to do another video on Donald Trump because he's the 45th president and there's a high probability he'll be the 47th president. He's not liked by the power structure. They call it the deep state or the shadow government. He's not liked. People, I am not supporting Donald Trump. I'm a centrist. I don't support left or right. I'm in the middle. But because I understand how the dark world operates, whether they like it or not, his numbers doesn't look good. So my next video will be on Donald Trump and if he will survive the next presidency. We see he got a scare a few days ago and he survived. And I believe that's a God miracle because whether they like it or not, there's a warfare taking place. But I hope he survived because the numbers that's on him doesn't look good. People, again, I am not doing this video to initiate any of you in the occult. I am not a part of the occult. I've given up that a long time ago when I surrendered to Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. Gave my life over to him. I am not a part of it and I don't want to be a part of that world. But because the dark world is so much into our face, I believe it's my responsibility to shed some light on it. So you guys can be aware that most of your stars and your artists and your entertainers, they're not there to entertain us. They're there to initiate us, getting rich off us while bringing us down to hell and death. People, on that note, a spiritual reformation and understanding me I talk about. People, see you in the next video and become enlightened because knowledge is power.
American pop superstar Lady Gaga performed at the event. Event organizers called the ceremony the biggest in Olympic Games history, with more than 3 lakh people watching on the banks of the Seine and billions tuned in on television. Some acts, including the recreation of Jesus Christ the Last Supper, the beheading of Mary Antoinette, and Philip Catherine's depiction of Dionysus, the god of wine, sparked controversy on social media. Netizens called the ceremony disrespectful and absolute garbage. One user wrote, and I quote, "They are literally mocking the Last Supper and majority of France are followers of Christ."